What is going on YouTube? In today's video, what I want to drop to you guys is the cold hard truth about entrepreneurship. Now I know most of you guys following this page are probably fitness related, but if you are, looking to become an entrepreneur, looking to do your own thing, as much as there are so many great rewards from it, just know that there are so many downfalls. And you just have to accept that and be willing to take the good and the bad that comes with it. And maybe the bad isn't bad in your scenario, but you have to know that there are things that you're going to have to sacrifice when it comes to, working on dreams that most people don't have. So if you're looking, to become an entrepreneur, which is really, building a business, doing your own thing on your own time, then understand that you're not going to have time for relationships. You're not going to have time for dating girls. You're not going to have time for a lot of friendships even. And that's just the reality that most people, don't talk about. Everybody just glorifies, become an entrepreneur, do your own thing, which is great. But you have to realize that in the times where you really excel, those are the times when you're in isolation, when you're working on improving your business, and all that time that you are putting in, you just simply cannot balance a relationship in addition to that, right? And so if you want to achieve something, especially early on in your career, you need to know that there are things you have to give up. And so personally, bro, I had to give up going on dates, hanging out with girls, all of these things, hanging out with friends, being in friend groups, going out to the bar I did. I had to give all those things up in order to be able to get my time back to put into, growing my business, which is great because my business is growing, but the downfall is, you don't have a lot of these people around. I'm a big advocate, though, of the people you spend your time with and the people in your environment are who dictate your future and your successes, right? Or at least have some say. And so it ultimately depends on which side of the equation you want to sit on. You being not around these people that girls and friends and whatever, might not be ideal, but also know that you can make relationships and meet people that are more aligned with your goals. But these are just things that people don't tell you straight up, you're legitimately not going to have plans, right? Your plans are, bro, work on the business. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. I think a lot of people think entrepreneurship, you can just Monday through Friday 9 to 5 it, bro. No, you still have to wake up on Saturday and Sunday and literally every day of the week, bro, and work. You're not just working all day, evenings, mornings, and during the week, but you're also working on the weekends, because it's think about it, right? You're already at somewhat of a disadvantage because you're an entrepreneur. Yeah, you have a lot of potential upside, but starting from building your business up from scratch, you're kind of at a disadvantage in comparison to somebody that's working a regular job, unless you've already built it up for a bit, or you've, even if you've saved up money, you're still at a disadvantage because you're likely going to have a lower income those first couple of months that you're building it up. But once those things, once those months pass and your business, picks up that traction and needs, then pretty soon it starts to pay off tenfold, bro, right? So yeah, the first couple months might be tough, but then month 4, 5, 6 is this is 5 times, where I was before starting this business. And so I think it's important to know that you have to choose the sacrifices and know that you can't have everything, bro. You just simply can't. And so during the time where these people are working their normal 9 to 5s, that's when you have to go above and beyond, because again, you're in this starting phase, right? If you're watching, and you are. And even in addition to that, you have to keep in mind that not only are you working 9 to 5, but you're also working weekends, because you want to grasp the attention of your viewers and, work on these tasks when you have the free time. So the weekend, you're still going to be putting work in. And there are times during the week where you should take time away from work to be able to, get your creativity primed, I think. But really, you need to know that there's no such thing as, like balancing these things. Yes, you can balance them, but it's not going to be like easy, and you're not going to be able to have everything. So you have to choose what you want. You have to choose, like, are you willing to give up, going into like relationships and meeting girls and like partying and all the bars and all the BS? Like, if you're not cool with doing that, then you have to go in and earn the business. But when I say go in and earn the business, I don't just mean like, oh, don't do that most of the time. Like, no, bro, like, you're going to realize that, like, you can't do that stuff ever. Like, literal prime example, bro. I'm working on my business. I'm growing my business. This is a month or so ago, right? I'm working on growing my business. Like, all of my energy is pouring into my building my business and my fitness, right? And in addition to that, I'm in a really good groove, right? I'm just feeling good, like, energy's flowing, content's going well. That's where my focus is. And then all of a sudden, like, I meet some girl, bro. We go on a couple of dates. And now it's like, okay, like, this person does not align with my long-term vision, and I'm continuing to hang out with this person. Like, why is that? Like, is that because, like, like, I just want some, like, company or whatever? Like, and ultimately you have to realize that, like, even if, you're only seeing this person once in a while, they are starting to, like, rub off you in the sense of, like, their values and their beliefs, whatever. Like, if this person likes to go out and you don't, and it's like, that's the only thing that they wanted, like, I don't know, bro. I don't really know what people do for fun. Like, when I went on those dates, it's like, we went on a hike, bro. We did some, like, corny stuff. It was, like, fun. But it's like, I feel like a lot of people just want to go out and drink. And it's like, yo, why can't we just have a legitimate conversation about, like, yo, where do you see the projection of your life going? And, like, what is your plan? Like, most people don't talk about that. But you need to know, like, yo, even if you're saying, like, okay, I'm going to XYZ, like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice going out on the weekends. Well, you have to realize, bro, that not just are you sacrificing going out on the weekends to make your business work, but you also have to remember and think about the fact that on the rare occasion that you want to go out, that once in a blue moon, you're not going to have those people to go with, bro, because, like, you stopped doing that type of stuff. You stopped, surrounding yourself with these people. And so you're going to realize, like, yo, like, you have to go all in on one side or the other, right? Like, if you're like, okay, like, the people around me in my environment are not uplifting me, I'm going to, like, just get myself in a better environment. You need to understand that not just, again, like, are you, like, okay, like, when you want to go do something, you don't really have a lot of those people there, but two, you realize even in those times when you go do that, it affects you, bro. It affects your work, right? Like, me going out, bro, for a couple of drinks, bro, that put me into this weird headspace, bro, for like 3-4 days where, like, yo, my creativity was fucked, bro. Like, yo, I didn't drink alcohol for like 4-5 months, bro, because I just genuinely don't want to. And then I went out and I had a beer or two, and it's like, yo, I felt cool in the moment and all, but it's like, yo, I'm sitting there, bro, the next morning, and I'm like, yo, bro, why do I feel so dazy, so, like, foggy headed? Like, what the fuck, bro? And that shit legitimately puts you down. Especially if you're somebody that is, on that side of, like, yo, I stopped drinking alcohol, like, these sorts of things. Like, I personally just stopped drinking, bro. Now, not to say, like, I don't drink at all, on occasion. But again, back to my initial point, like, the occasions get much more limited when you have this lifestyle and when you don't surround yourself with these individuals. And so you need to realize, like, bro, going out and drinking every single weekend is not normal. Like, yo, I was on these dates, bro, asking, like, how many nights do you drink out of a month? And, like, she says, like, 4. Like, bro, damn, that means every fucking weekend you're drinking, bro, and I don't drink. So, like, now me starting to hang out with you, it's like, okay, now I'm trying to find reasons of, like, why I should drink, and, like, basically just going against all my visions and missions. Not that I ever had an issue with alcohol, by the way. It was just like, yo, I realized, like, yo, this is not serving me, and I don't feel good with this, and I genuinely don't find interest in alcohol, right? So, like, just that, bro, the more that you try to find these people, you try to, surround yourself with more people, make more connections, rather than just letting these people come to you and find you. When you try to force things, bro, it's like you're making yourself become this person that you're really not, and you're kind of like in a masking in a sense. And it's like, yo, like, you need to know that you probably will feel much better off, being by yourself. and or, you know, the people that are on the same page as you and have those best interests for you in mind, you're much better being around those people, and or if necessary than just yourself, bro, than you are surrounding yourself with people that don't have the same visions and alignments. Bro, like the amount of females I have been with that did not have the exact same, I shouldn't say exact same, but they didn't have, you know, any of the desires I had long term, and they also had so many different values than I did, and oftentimes, you know, conflicting values. And so it's like, okay, why am I continuing to like get into relationships with people that, you know, genuinely like are not aligning with me? When I start to tell you that as soon as I started to meet people and become friends with people, make new connections with people that actually like just had things in interest with me, and I was just my true authentic self, meaning like I didn't have to act like whatever, that's when I started to make true friends, really. And like those are my true friends to this day. Is like, yo, they're, you know, there because they like who I am as a person and not this person I'm trying to be. But you need to realize that if you go into entrepreneurship, bro, it's going to be lonely, but you don't have to be like upset over that, but it is going to be lonely. And there aren't going to be people that understand. Nobody's going to understand what the fuck you're doing, bro, until it's all said and done and you've finally amassed a decent amount of success, and you can say like, okay, this is why. And even at that point, bro, you're still not going to be able to answer all the questions. You're still going to have so much more, not to prove to them, but to prove to yourself. And so that's why, if you don't have to prove it to them, then why focus on them? Focus on yourself, brother. And if you can just focus on yourself and your own goals, everything will start to become a distraction to you. And when you realize that everything outside of what you're working towards is a distraction, then you will eventually start to cut it off. And it will become much, much easier to cut those things off when you stop finding interest in them. And what I've found is that by, I don't know, like just I found so much more interest in what I am doing, what I am working on, that it takes away from those other things. I don't care about those other things as much, and hardly at all. So boys, just know that if you decide to take the leap, I like that saying, taking the leap, because ironically, right when I got into the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, I read this book called The Entrepreneur Leap. And like, if entrepreneurship, if it's right for you. And I already knew it was. But I was like, I might as well read this book. And it was cool because it confirmed a lot of things in my head already, and also gave me a lot of insights. And it's funny because when I was reading that book, you know, they talk about taking the leap and how it's never going to feel comfortable. But they also talk about how there are things you have to give up, right? Like there are these downfalls of business. And it's funny, brother, because I remember back a couple summers ago, this girl I dated, her grandfather, I don't know exactly his whole story, so I don't want to talk on it, but in a nutshell, her grandfather was some sort of entrepreneur or author, and basically wrote a bunch of copies of books, or he wrote a book and made up hundreds of copies of it about, you know, the hard-hold truth about entrepreneurship and what they don't tell you and all the hard things. And I remember she gave a copy of that to me, and I was going to read it because I was like, oh, you know, like, this is perfect. And I remember I gave it to a buddy, and the buddy of mine, I think, lost the book, so probably good that he didn't read it either. And thinking back on it now, like, I tried to get a second copy for myself after I gave it away, and I stopped dating the girl, XYZ. But thinking back on it now, bro, that book was, like, in the first couple pages, basically when I flipped through it, the whole topic of the book is just like why it's like, you know, getting into business is hard, why it's difficult, and like all the downfalls. And I'm glad I never read that book, because I think it would have shifted my perspective a bit and made me be more pessimistic And I think I'm very optimistic. So even the one that I read, The Entrepreneur Leap, over the summer, which actually was gifted to me by another individual, that book was eye-opening for sure, but it was more so like, okay, I am on the right path, right? Like, I'm reading this book that basically says, if you think you're an entrepreneur and you think you're thinking about taking a leap into like your business, read this first to make sure you don't make a mistake and make sure you're not the wrong type of person for entrepreneurship. Now, like, I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, like, what the heck's going on here? All those things I agreed with, like, all of the things they said, like, you are this way or you aren't this way, like, they were all true, which is strange to me. I feel like it could have been, some of their words they were using that were like maybe pulling me in, but definitely like it shows you, the eye-opening truth. And that's what I wanted to talk about in this video, was how there will be things that you have to give up. Like, you will have to sacrifice relationships, and it's that simple. But now, let me clarify. When I say sacrifice relationships, I don't mean that you cannot have healthy relationships. What I mean is you're going to have to sacrifice the relationships that don't serve or benefit you. And ultimately, even if you're not, building a business or becoming an entrepreneur, you shouldn't be associating with these relationships anyways. Because going into endeavors with people that don't have your long-term vision at heart and don't see eye to eye with you, it's probably not going to work out. And so you're ultimately just, again, wasting time and becoming, hanging out with somebody, surrounding yourself with somebody that doesn't have the same beliefs as you. And because of that, you're going to start to shift. You're going to start to change in the way you don't want. When you surround yourself with somebody for long enough, you end up acting like that person and picking up on their characteristics. So if you know that there are certain people that they don't have everything aligning with you, like, bro, just delete them. I don't mean that on like the social terms, but like, delete them from your life, not in a bad way, but like, yo, it's all good, bro. Find those other people that you will, magnetically stick to. And it will all work out in the end, brother. So stay tuned for content like this. And just know that when you do decide to take the leap, there will be people looking at you like you're crazy. There will be your parents, your cousins, your sister, probably even your dog. Like, when you're recording content, all these things, like, no word of a lie. There will be so many people in your life, friends, families, relatives, all these people that say something negative about it. And even if they don't, you will probably think that you're making the wrong move, because you notice that they're all acting way different than you. And that is a good thing, because that means you're headed somewhere that they're not going. And so if you're following a direction, you're following structure, and you know that the steps you're taking are getting you closer to your goals, then don't stop. Don't look back. Don't think about what these people have to say or think, because you're going to look back one day. It sounds so corny, but you're going to look back one day, and these people will, either way, they're not going to care, bro. You're going to be on your deathbed, like that saying, right? But really, like, yo, imagine if you spent the next 10 years and you built this, extremely successful and profitable company, and your family the whole time looked at you like, yo, you're crazy, whatever. And then the thing fails, right? Okay, like, whatever, like, that sucks. But now imagine if you continue to just, like, say, whatever, I'm not going to let it affect me. And then the business won, bro. Like, the business succeeded. They would forget about all those things that they thought you did that were crazy or cringy or whatever, like, and they wouldn't care, bro. They would just be like, wow, like, I'm surprised you actually were able to do all this. Like, yeah, bro, I was, and I did that. But you need to understand that in order to get to that point, you have to stop caring what these people think about you, and you also have to stop relying on other people to bring you joy. You need to stop looking for a partner or finding the right friendship, relationship, whatever, to try to make you feel like you're in a good spot and you're doing things right. Like, bro, realistically, the people that are doing things right are the people that are working on themselves. And so if they happen to have somebody, in their life, then great. And if they don't, bro, then so be it, right? But just know that, like, you are going to, either way, it's probably going to feel difficult to, step away from somebody that you spend a lot of time with, even if that person, you despise them, even if that person, like, you have so many things that you found out about them that weren't, aligning with what you wanted and these sorts of things. Like, it's still going to feel painful because, you're associated with that person, you're used to hanging out with that person, you have that bond. Oh my goodness, bro, what was that? Oh my gosh, bro. Oh my goodness, bro, it's all good. We are chilling. Oh my goodness. Anyways, boys, something just flew into the road. under my car, and it was not just like anything, bro. It was like somebody's bumper, like legitimately somebody's front end that was all smashed up already, and it flew from the grass into the highway and underneath my car. But anyways, boys, like, know that there's going to be sacrifices necessary that you need to take, and that's okay. But it's just choosing, do you want to have to make those sacrifices? Because if you do, then you can do these things. But you have to make the choices when they come up, and, don't let the circumstances of where you're currently at dictate where your future is. Just keep your beliefs, your mindset, your, thought patterns where they should be, and in a positive state, and you'll achieve the goals you want. Just make sure that when you are taking that leap, that you're all in, and you're not just one side or the other, or somewhere in the middle. You're completely all the fuck in on either one side or the other. I think I said that wrong, but like, bro, go all in and don't ever look back. Because if you do that, then at least what you're doing, all these things that are tough, will pay off and work. If you're doing all these things and you're half in and half out, like, you're in a weird spot where it's like, you're having all these negative things happen, and you're also not getting the result you want. So it's like, if you're gonna have them happen anyways, you might as well get the result and go all the way in. Stay tuned for that. This type of content, boys. Stay tuned for this type of content. I'm gonna cut that, and yeah, boys.